You used to be a libtard. What's that? What's a libtard?
I think it's the actual. I was always saying that it was bad that we couldn't use the word retarded because it should mean you are stagnated. You know, it's not just like the pejorative. It is actually a word that means you've been stagnated. And I think for me, growing up as a just liberal, I wasn't an activist. I wasn't like an ideologue. I didn't go to college, so I wasn't indoctrinated with all of this like wokeism or whatever you want to call it and critical theory. I just was like a good, you know, East Coast Democrat. And I just didn't really, I don't think I knew, I've talked about this before, how I don't think I knew anyone who was pro-life until I was like 30 years old.
Me too.
It was not, you take for granted that it's just the water you're swimming in. And I was just a very drunk fish swimming in this water. And a lot of it I think is that I was, you know, I'm in recovery, and I talk about this a lot too. Getting sober partially helped wake me up in other ways, but also just gave me pause on a lot of my beliefs, because you're interrogating your beliefs, not just about how you ended up, you know, doing shameful things and an alcoholic, but also what else could I be wrong about? Well, it turns out mostly everything.
That's really interesting about the pro-life thing, because I'm exactly the same. And not only that, I couldn't find an argument that didn't seem to be based on magical thinking at the time. I really looked. I thought, well, what's the other side of this? Because I was so adamantly pro-choice, and I still am, but not so adamantly now. Now I'm, okay, there's, and then I saw a video the other day where somebody said, you know, the whole "my body, my choice," and then someone else said to them, "So does that mean that you can get drunk when you've got a baby in you?" And they said, "No, but that's your body, that's your choice." And that's the problem with the slogans, I suppose.
Right.
And also the anti-vaxxers use the "my body, my choice" thing. So you've got that kind of thing. Well, I love a vax, just put them in me all the time.
Give them all.
Yeah. Very Jewish, kind of just please. I just had a flu jab last week. I'm just like stacking up. I've just lost 50% of the audience now, but I like, do you like a vax?
I got the, I wasn't precious about it. Again, my husband and I joked, we met in recovery. And so I was like, it's kind of funny to get precious about what we're putting in our bodies now. Like, oh yeah, I used to do heroin, but the jab, that's a bridge too far. And so I did J&J, and I had friends who were like, don't do it. And I had had some hesitation, and I almost didn't go. And then I was like, don't be like, this is ridiculous. So don't be such a like little bitch about this. And can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah, but don't say the PDF file word.
The PDF file word? Oh, gotcha. Yeah. And so that took me a minute. That took me too long.
It's like an in thing on my channel now, because it often comes up. I just talk about PDF files.
Got it.
Yeah, it's a good one, isn't it?
It is a good one.
Yeah, but go on.
And so I just took it, and then the day after I got it, I woke up and I had a pretty strong reaction to it. And there was the day they pulled the J&J off the market. So I woke up to all these people sending me articles like, "Good thing you didn't get the jab." And I was like, I felt like I was dying. I'm like, I am gonna die. Great. They like literally took it. My friends were like, this would only happen to you. You like put it off, you finally get it, and then they pull it off the market the day you're like dying after you got it. I
love that.
And then I never did anymore after that. And so I didn't really get any of the like bioweapon ones.
It was probably unnecessary. I mean, they
pulled it off the market because it wasn't actually a bioweapon. They're like, this isn't doing what the other ones need to do.
Didn't kill enough people. But they are probably tracking me now, because I've had so many of them. I know I had like 2 or 3 at the beginning, when everybody was scared about it and all that. I came to realize it was a glorified cold, I think.
Yeah. So I think what happened to me was I was always took being liberal for granted. My grandparents were very like Irish Catholic. They sang for the Kennedy. My dad was in it was like the Von Trapp family singers, but they were Irish. And so they would go on like the Ed Sullivan Show, and they would go around and sing and do performances, and they performed for the Kennedys. And so they were like, it was Jesus Christ and Kennedy, you know, and for my grandmother, that was just the religion. And we grew up, you know, racism is obviously very bad. It was a very diverse My grandmother always had people, and she had a bed and breakfast. So she would just like invite people who didn't have anywhere to stay in this tourist town. It was very vibrant, just liberal upbringing and very pro-choice, pro-gay, pro-LGBTQ.
Now you hate all of those things.
And now I'm just, pray the gay away. No, I went to LA right after rehab when I was 19. And it was, again, I took it for granted. It didn't occur to me until around 2015 that everybody assumes everyone else is liberal in those kinds of environments and takes it for granted that they are. And that assumption forces people into silence. So even if you don't agree, because people talk as if everyone agrees with them, and it's a very smug, condescending, kind of arrogant knowing what is the good side and the right side. And I was 20, I was dating an artist. I was going to these dinners with all of these like very brilliant people, and they talked about Bush and how bad he was, and we were anti-war and anti-big pharma and all of these things that now the Democrats stand for. They're very pro, which has been very strange. And
so you've not changed?
Not really. I a little bit. There are some things I think, if you were to ask me things that I've changed my mind on, one would be like gun laws. This was really the beginning of truly recognizing my libtardation, we'll say. I started writing for Playboy in 2015. I got sober in 2013. I was waiting tables. I was always just hustling, wanting to be a writer or a stand-up comic or in the arts from the time that I essentially dropped out of college, failed out of college when I became a junkie in my youth. And then I set myself onto the artist path, which is a very hard path for any of you out there who think that that is an easy path. It might seem easy even now because you can just do like TikTok dances, but you're eventually going to have a mental breakdown from trying to feed the algorithm, and people don't realize that.
I'm there now.
You and I are going to be in straight jackets in a year.
My brain is fried from looking at numbers
thinking. It's the same thing that happened to me with Twitter. I went on Twitter in 2013, went back on, and then your brain starts like thinking in tweets, which for a comedian is great. It's essentially like a premise generating factory.
That's great.
But I think now the same thing's happening to me. This is why I think the algorithm is bad, because now you're like, well, that'll make a good clip. Like you start talking in clips.
While you're talking, even before we started recording, I was like, that's a clip that. You can't clip that. We haven't recorded it. That thing you were saying about people talking to you as if they just assume you're liberal. I had, with my WhatsApp neighborhood group where we are, there was a message the other day, and you're not supposed to have politics in the neighbor. It's supposed to be, have you got a ladder? Can you look after my dog? I've just murdered my wife. Can you help? It's supposed to be a help with these kinds of things. And someone put like, we're going to go to this big like march against the fascists today. So they're all going to this big march, and no one said Antifa. They just said march against the fascists, and everyone was like, yeah, I'll bring my kids and all that stuff. Here's the poster. And there was a poster in there for someone had put like an advertisement thing for the big event, and no one was really like, it's pushing back against it until one person did just say, I'm just wondering, why does it say on the poster we have to wear masks? And then like, how is this not political if we're wearing masks? And then also don't talk to police it had as well. We're like, okay, like you guys we need a new WhatsApp neighborhood group. But that's what you're talking about, isn't it? That kind of like, they don't even realize they don't political.
No. And it's those groups are hilarious, by the way. Like the Nextdoor app. I don't know if you guys have it over there. So in America, we have the Nextdoor app, which is like neighborhood spying on each other, but you aren't allowed to profile. So you have watching people try not to be racist on those apps is like my favorite pastime, where it's like, there are two young men with hoodies and backpacks lurking around, or they'll be like, 3 men were seen on bikes eating burritos. You're like, because you can't like racially profile anyone. It's hilarious. I like the lengths they have to go to. I would just go on. I actually got kicked out of Nextdoor because there was a young girl, and I swear it was her father who was running this account, but it was allegedly a young girl who would, during like the BLM time, would be like, we need to check our privilege. And I would just troll her. And then the neighborhood would get mad at me. And they're because I'm on Twitter. So I'm like, I'm trained in the Thunderdome. If you want to do this on Nextdoor, I said, this belongs on Twitter. It doesn't belong here. And everyone's like, you're so brave. You're making fun of this young teenage lady who's just trying to make a difference in the world. I'm like, this is her father writing this. This is not her. Even if it is her writing this, it does not belong to her. If she wants to be properly trained for this kind of engagement, she needs to go on Twitter. And they booted me.
You took a risk. I mean, that is shitting on your doorstep. Or was it shit where you eat? Is that the expression?
Yes. There was the funniest Nextdoor post of the entire world. I still think about it like every day. And it was in 2016. And it said, someone keeps taking my Hillary Clinton sign and replacing it with a bag of dog poop, a New York Times bag of dog poop. This is my third sign. I was like,